my name is Vitoria Costa, and today I'll be presenting the sound design concept for the play Mother Hicks, written by Susan Zeter, and I proudly represent Troop 6878. Mother Hicks takes place in southern Illinois during the Great Depression, and it tells the story of a young orphan only known as Girl. While she's trying to find herself, she encounters with a young boy named Tug, who happens to be deaf, and a loner named Mother Hicks. Mother Hicks is being accused of practicing witchcraft by the townspeople, and although she's innocent, they need someone to blame for their misfortune. Because the plot is set in southern Illinois during the Great Depression, the main focus of my design was Appalachian music, since it was very big at the time and especially at that setting. For my design statement, not only I performed research on the setting and time period of the show, but I also researched the script itself. I read through it a couple of times to make sure I understood exactly what was going on throughout the whole show, and therefore I came up with the best sound design for it. With that, I created a vision board. The vision board serves as an abstract overview of my design. It consists of pictures of the songs I would like to use, pictures of the mood and setting being portrayed, keywords for sound effects, and just other ideas I had, all combined together to get me started with my design. It was my starting point. With that, I also performed even more research, because not only I needed to understand what was going on throughout the whole show, but I also needed to understand each scene separately. Each scene portrays a different mood, and it's very unique in its own way. So I needed to make sure that my design matched that, and that I had the proper cues for the proper scenes. So for example, on the scenes where Tuck is narrating and the chorus is translating it, I use Appalachian music, since they're setting a narrative and the Appalachian music matches the setting. As for more intense scenes, I made sure that my cues would match that. So for example, in the graveyard scene, I use a more creepy, eerie song that would match the feelings of fear and anxiety felt by Girl. And then, with my research done, I created my cue sheet, which consists of all the sound cues I'm supposed to play throughout the whole show. I organized them alphabetically, so then whenever I needed to access a sound cue, I would just go to the letter that corresponded with it. And then not only I wrote down the cues I'm supposed to play, but when I'm supposed to play them and when I'm supposed to end them. So I have go cue to when I'm supposed to play them and end cue when I'm supposed to end them. And aside from that, I also have some extra notes to guide me through it. So if I'm supposed to fade a song out, I have that written down. If I'm supposed to completely cut it out, I also have that written down. So just a few guide notes to help me through the show. A big thing for this show was actually music editing and mixing. Most of my sound cues are not just one song or one sound effect. They're actually a combination of different songs and different sound effects, because I wanted to make sure that the audience would feel every emotion being portrayed on stage. I didn't want to just grab something from YouTube and play it. I wanted to make a unique sound cue that would really show what was being portrayed on stage, that would really get the audience into the story. So I used the program Audacity to allow me to mix all these songs and sound effects together and portray the emotions and mood that I wanted to portray to the audience. I wanted them to really feel what was happening on stage through my sound. Another big thing for our show was actually underscoring. A lot of the scenes had either songs or sound effects playing in the background. And for the songs, I needed to make sure there were no vocals involved, because that would interfere with the dialogue or cause copyright issues. So for that, I used the program Splitter AI, which allowed me to remove any vocals and make sure that the songs were as they should be. And then for the sound effects, most of our sound effects needed to be vivid timing. They were very specific sound effects that needed to be played at very specific times, like gunshots or car horns. We needed to make sure that they were played at the right timing so it wouldn't affect with the scene, and it would just make it flow as it should flow. So we used the soundpad Akai MPO21A, which allows us to play all the sound cues, both sound effects and even songs, at the right timing, and it won't interfere with the scene, and it just makes sure it flows better. So that sound pad allows us to really play it on vivid timing. For transitions, it was very tricky, because while Tuck was signing and the chorus was translating it, there was a set being changed. And I didn't want the audience to be taken away from the story because of the set being changed, because set changes can be very loud. So what I did was play Appalachian music in the background, so then that way the audience would only focus on Tuck and not see what was going on aside from that. And then as for equipment, I used the Yamaha TF5 digital mixer for my soundboard, which allowed me to play all my cues and make sure the levels were right. For the speakers, since our main speakers are all clustered at the top of the apron in the center of the stage, I also placed 2 other speakers in the back of the house, one on each side, to make sure that the sound was perfectly distributed throughout the whole house and everybody could hear everything. And then I also placed 2 monitors in the booth where I was working to make sure I would hear exactly what the audience was hearing and make sure my levels were correct and nothing was too loud or too low. And then that way the show ran very smoothly. Thank you.